Hello, my fellow introverts. Stacy here, your programming and test automation expert. Today we're diving into the topic of context managers. And oh my, it gave me some chills when first time I tried implementing one. If you feel the same, then stay tuned. In this video, I will try to do my very best to explain it in the easiest words possible so that you can gain some confidence and understanding in the topic. If you have no idea what context managers are, this is the first time you hear such a term, then you have probably used it before when you use the with statement. So we will try to implement our own context manager today, as well as we will learn two new magic methods, enter and exit, because without them, you wouldn't be able to implement a context manager. So all of this in this video in a moment, but before that, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel. There is almost 100 of you guys, and this is very cool. So thank you so much for subscribing, and I really hope when this video goes out, then there is going to be more than 100 subscribers. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you. And of course, getting back to the topic, please don't forget to check the links in the description where you can join our community. We have Facebook now, we have also Discord, and we have LinkedIn group. So you're very welcome to join us. Don't forget that today's video code is going to also be in the links in the description. And I will put some useful information about context managers there as well. So now, without any further ado, let's get on with it. So guys, let's start with the with statement, and then we will slowly go towards the context managers because these things are quite literally related to each other. With statement. You write a with, then you do something which will produce some result, and you do as some variable, right? And then you can do something inside of this with statement. So you do something related, do something with some var, right? So you basically do, or better, maybe like this, some var, do something. Okay. And this goes on, and then at some point you just exit the with and you do something completely different. So something completely different. Yeah. Of course, this stuff is highlighting right now because we don't have those functions and methods defined, but well, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to show you the structure of this code. So why is it helpful? Exactly why do we want to use it? Let me give you an example right away. It's going to be easier to explain it. If you work with a database and you want to connect to the database, do some operations, and then, you just do something else, and at some point you might want to do something again with this database. And there might be a problem that you have opened the connection, but you haven't closed it after working with it. And you will get a collision because, well, the backend will say, come on, you have an already open connection to this port, so I cannot connect. I cannot do that, Dave, right? So this is where with operator becomes very handy, because if you wouldn't have used it, you would have to do db.connect or something like that, but with operator will automatically do it for us. So the very basic example of using the with operator is actually opening files. So I will go ahead and comment this for a moment, and I will show you how you would usually work with a file. So you do f equals open, you pass some file name atxt, for example, you do f read, right? And in normal world, like if you're responsible for your actions, you would do f.close, right? So these are the three actions that you have to do. You open the file, you read it, and then you close it. Well, somebody might forget to do the close operation, and of course, this might lead to some issues afterwards. So this is where the with operation comes in handy. I keep calling it operator, but it's actually a statement. I'm very sorry about this. So basically, to reformat this and be more Python oriented, you would do something like this. Let's uncomment this again, and we will do with open a txt. Oh, come on, yeah, as f, and here we will do f read, and we will not do the close operation because it's being done automatically. How do I know that? So I know that the open, this function, which I would think here, is actually, it's a context manager. So it's a tricky thing that ensures that when you do something inside of the with, after you finish doing this inside of this with statement, then you will close the file automatically. So open can be used as a context manager, and you can actually be sure that after doing this, you will end up with closing the file. So this code and this code, they actually are identical, so they work exactly the same. Okay, so now let's move to the topic of the context managers, and we will try to do something similar to the open, but for our own class. So let's take a look. So now let's implement a context manager. This is going to be a class which contains the enter and exit magic methods. This is what we're going to implement in a moment. Then we will put some logic into it so that we can see the extra interesting things that you can do with those magic methods and the context managers. But first of all, let's create our book class. It's going to be called book because we are going to put some logic there so that it's more fun. All right, so I'm speaking too much, so let's just go ahead and do a class book. Okay. This class is not going to have an init for now. We will just put an enter here. Let's print something, enter, and we will have an exit. And you see that PyCharm actually told us to add these parameters here. We will cover them in a moment. This is another cool functionality of context managers that you can do. But for now, let's just put a print exit here. And that's it. That's basically it. You can already use this class as a context manager, so we can go ahead and use the with statement. We will create the book object, just like that, as book. And we can put a print here just to see the order of how it works. So inside with statement, not operator. Okay. And after all of this, we could just put another print outside with statement. And we're good to go. We can actually run it and see what is going to happen. Okay, so what do we have here? First of all, we have an enter, which is going to happen once Python detects that there is a with statement, which is being used with this class. Then we have the inside with statement. So actually, this is going to be executed. Then, as you can see, we have an exit. So this means that this with statement is over. And then after that, we will have the outside with statement. So the order looks this way. This should be pretty clear. And we, of course, can put an init here and see what is going to happen first, the init or the enter. So let's do that. So we will put an init. Let's put a book name here just to have something inside of the init. We're going to need it in a moment. Book name. Self name, let's say, equals book name. And of course, we need a print. Print init. Okay. Let's run it. Yeah. Okay, we need to put some argument here, of course. So yeah, just let's put ATXT for now there. We don't need anything specific. So let's run it. And here we go. We have the init, first of all, because here is the instance that being created. Then we have the enter. So actually the init is coming up first. Then we have the enter. Then we have inside with statement. Then we have the exit because the with is over. And then we have the print, the outside with statement. Okay, should be quite clear for now. Let's try to use our book name inside of this with and see what is going to happen. So we're just going to do print book, and we are going to use, how did I call it? Name. Okay, name. Okay, and we are going to do book name. All right. As you can see, it's being highlighted, so let's try to run it and see what is going to happen, because there is something wrong, right? And for some reason, we had an init, so init was called, everything is alright. Then we have the enter statement, then we had inside with statement, then we have an exit, and we have the non-type object has no attribute name. So looking at this, we could make a conclusion that for some reason the instance has not been assigned to this book variable. Let's try to just use this class as a normal, like not as a context manager, but just create an object of this class. So I will just put this out. We will do book equals book, do the same stuff as we did before. So we'll do ATXT. And now we will try to actually do this guy. Okay, so let's see what happens this way. Everything works. So actually, we didn't do a return from the enter magic method. So we have to go to fix this issue. Let me remove these guys and put this one back. So we need to go to the enter magic method and we have to return what we want from it. And here goes that we can actually return the instance of our class, which we are using here, or we could do something else. You can control actually what you do once you just create an instance of this class, or when you use it as a with statement. So there are multiple possibilities here. We're going to use it the regular way. So basically we will just go and return self here, which is going to return the current instance of this class. But keep in mind that if you want to separate those behaviors so that you can just do the with statement, and in with statement you would not return an instance of this class, but you will do something else. This is also fine in some examples, let's say. Maybe this is going to be a bit tricky. Maybe you should use it with caution, right? But just for you to remember that you can do this as well if you want to. So, but we're going to go the regular way and let's see if it was fixed. So let's run it. Yes, it was fixed. So now we have the book name ATXT and it works pretty fine. So let's add some more logic to our class. What we're going to do here. Our book is going to be, of course, readable so that we can right away go ahead and add the read method, where we're going to read the actual book, which is a file, right? The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to require this book to be opened before we read it, right? So this is the second thing that we will do. We will put a def open method. And we want to ensure that this book is closed after we've read it or after we worked with it in any way. We could have just opened it and then closed it. And after we close it, we can no longer actually acquire its content. So something like that. So let's put the close method as well here. So we will do def close, right? And now we need to go ahead and put some logic here. So what we're going to do, we need to actually, yeah, I will just remove these guys for now. So we need to actually read the file which is put along with this instance, but once the instance is created. So here in the open, we will do with open. So we will do the context manager here. We will just use it. And here I will pass self name as f, okay? We will just do f read, or maybe we could do read lines just to not output the whole text from this file. And let's create another instance attribute, which is going to be called content. And it's going to be none by default, because we don't know the content of this book before we open it. So we will do self content equals f read lines, right? Okay, so we can open the book. Now we want to read it. So the read operation is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to do return self content. Okay, so we have opened, we know the content from the open, and we just return the full content in the read operation. Now, regarding the close, I would say that, well, the file is going to be closed already because we do it with statement here. So in the close, I would say we could just flush the content. So we could do just self content equals none, right? One remark here, probably if you have something like this happening, then you might want to make content a private attribute of this class, because you don't want to modify it outside of the class. So basically on an instance, you have to use these actual methods of this class to be able to modify it or to read it. Okay, so let's try it out. So we will put, I don't want to read the ATXT, it's going to be boring. Instead of that, I have a very nice file, which is called the Guide to Balmora. I believe it was part 2, yes, okay. Kudos to you guys who know what this book is. Let me know if you recognize the name. So yeah, it wasn't part 2. I added the part 2 myself. So basically, yeah. But kudos to you. Okay. So we do book Guide to the Balmora as book. Now we want to actually read the book. So we need to do book.open. Then we can do print book.read, and let's put the first line, the 0 line here. And yeah, we will not close the book right away. We can actually, yes, this is one thing that I forgot to do. We actually want to do the close inside of the exit, and we will call self close here. Okay, so let's run it. What do we have here? Balmora is the district seat of House Hlalu and the largest settlement of Vattenfell after Vivek City. Okay, so we have some text here. Kudos to those of you guys who know this text, but anyway. So then we have an exit and we see the closing, right? So basically, this was called. But, well, it's probably not very convincing. So what we could do, actually, we could go to our read method and we could read only if the book is open, right? So that only if the content is available, let's say it's going to be working this way. We could have actually flagged it and do is open or something like that, but let's not complicate it for the sake of this video. So we would do just if self content, just like that. Then we actually do the read, we return the content. But if it's not open, then, well, we return a none, but probably it's better to raise an error here, right? So let's do an error. So we will do raise exception. Please open book before reading it. Okay. Nice looking error message. So now we can actually try to read it without opening it. Okay, we have a nice looking exception. We have the exit and the closing. So it actually has been closed, which is very cool. You see, because even if something failed inside of this this operation, or any operation that is going to happen inside of this with statement, then we're going to have this exception, but we're still going to close the book. So nice thing, already a plus. So we are getting back to these guys because this is actually something to do with the exceptions which are happening inside of our with statement. So let's put some prints here. Okay, so I will not change anything, so we want it to fail actually to see what are these parameters, what actually goes into those parameters. So let's run it. And here we go. We have exception type, exception, right? Because we're raising an exception here. Where was it? Yeah, here. Then we have exception value. Please open book before reading it. So we have the nice looking error message which we gave here, and we can actually access it in the exception value. So the third one is the exception TB, which is the traceback object. So basically the thing that you have here is also put into this traceback object. And this might be very convenient for some logging where the traceback is being hidden, so you can actually access it in the exit magic method. Okay, so here we go. One curious thing that we could do, actually, we could actually normally read the book. Let's do book open here. So it's going to be open. So we will do an open, we will do a read. Let's see how it looks like. No exceptions here, and this is none. And what will happen if we actually raise an exception inside of this with statement, not in something that is inside of this context manager, but just inside of the with statement. So let's try it out. Raise exception 2. Okay. As you can see, wherever it happens, it might happen inside of our context manager, or it can happen inside of the with statement. The result is going to be the same. So we will have exception type, exception value, exception TB, the traceback, and these guys are going to be put inside of this, inside of those variables. Okay, and let's say for some reason we just want to ignore this exception, and we can absolutely do this actually using the context manager. So the only thing that we would have to do is going to be return true from here, right? From exit. Let's see if it works. Here we go. No exceptions. Although we have everything that we need here. So basically you would still catch the exception, but you would not raise it if you return a true here in the exit magic method. This is pretty cool because imagine a situation that you're using some library or something like this, and it keeps giving you some exceptions. You want to actually, well, maybe react to them, but not stop the script. Or another way is going to be that you want to raise your own exception and you want to change the way that the exceptions are being raised. Sometimes that might be quite convenient for you. Let me show you one more trick where you can use some of these values. So I told you that we could actually intercept the exception and raise our own exception if we want to. So to do that, it's going to be quite simple. Let's say that we want to react a bit differently once we don't find the file, right? Because this is going to raise a pretty common exception, file not found error. And for some reason, we just want to make it more fantasy-like and magical. Okay, so to do that, first of all, let me spoil it. Let's rename our guide to Balmora to actually correct name without the part 2. Let me run it. We have a true returned here, so it's not going to fail. But as you can see, we actually have some values here, so it actually did fail. So now we want, let me remove the true. So let's do book.open, right? And we probably, we can just keep it this way. Let's run it. We have file not found error. As you can see, we also have it here. So now we can check whether the type of this exception is file not found error. And in this case, we could raise our own exception. So we could do it in the exit. Let's do if exception type is file not found error. We raise our own exception. I will just call it exception, but yeah. And we will say the manuscript was not found on the shelf. Something like that. And here we go. So we actually intercepted the file not found error, and we raised our own nice looking exception. So for some reason it might be sometimes useful for you if you want just to raise your custom errors, not the ones coming from some library, let's say. So this is what you can do apart from just returning the true and, well, saying that everything is fine, there were no errors. So just like that. Alright folks, this is it for today, so let's make some conclusions about what we have learned. Context managers are just regular classes where you define the enter and exit magic methods. What does it give you? It gives you an opportunity to be able to use your class inside of the with statement. Not operator, but statement. And you can still use your class as a normal class, meaning that you can just regularly create objects. But if you want to, you can also use this class inside of the with statement. What is the flow of the with statement? Speaking of your class, of course. So when you define the with, you usually create an object of your class, which is going to call the enter magic method. Before the enter magic method is being called, the regular things are happening. So basically you create an instance. So this means that the new magic method is going to be called to create the instance and return it. And then you have the init being started. And only after those two actions, the enter magic method is being called. And after the with statement ends, for the reason that just the call block has ended or there was an exception, the exit magic method is going to be called. It works a little bit like finally for the exceptions handling. So what can you do with the enter magic method? Basically, it's just being called once you start the with statement. And you can define anything you want that will happen when the with statement starts. But if you want actually to store the object of this class inside of this as variable name section in with, then don't forget to return it from the enter magic method. Otherwise, this variable is going to be a none. So you have to remember about this. And the exit magic method is responsible for, first of all, handling the resources that you might create or open when entering the with statement. For example, if you open a connection to the database, you want to close it afterwards, this is a perfect example to do so in the exit magic method. But the second thing that you can do, you can actually handle exceptions differently. So first of all, you can just return a true from the exit magic method, which will give you an opportunity to just ignore the exceptions that are happening inside of the with statement. And the second option is to actually intercept this exception and raise your own exception, which might be valuable with some libraries that you use. So this is it, what you have to remember about the context managers. I really, really hope this was useful for you. I'm sure you're going to write at least one context manager once in your life if you work with Python. So I wish you to do so. I wish you a very happy coding, and I see you in 1 week.